Janet Mock and Kimberle Crenshaw are two activists who reshaped feminism from completely different angles. Janet Mock grew up in Hawaii, where culture, race and class shaped her world early. She became one of the first major trans journalists in mainstream media and used storytelling as activism. I chose her because she makes feminism feel personal and real, not distant or academic. What influenced her growing up was understanding identity as something political, especially for trans women of colour who were barely seen in media before she spoke up. Kimberle Crenshaw grew up during the civil rights era in the US, surrounded by movements pushing for racial justice. She became a legal scholar who created the term intersectionality to explain how race and gender stack into layered oppression. I picked her because the theory matches how institutions fail people who don't fit a single category. A fun fact about Crenshaw is that her work is now built into law, gender studies, racial policy, and activist training across the world. Both activists wanted to correct systemic wrongs, not surface-level issues. Before Janet Mock entered media, trans women of colour were treated like an afterthought, filtered through stereotypes, or erased completely. Her biggest impact was raising awareness through personal testimony, which is a direct form of consciousness raising. She pushed media representation to acknowledge multiple jeopardy and talked openly about racism and sexism operating together. The feminist terms that map onto her work include multiracial feminism, trans feminism, consciousness raising, hip-hop feminism because of how she ties identity, culture, music and race into feminist resistance, and liberal feminism because she works inside institutions to change them rather than rejecting them completely. Before Kimberle Crenshaw challenged the legal system, policy often treated sexism and racism as separate tracks, ignoring how black women fall into both models simultaneously. She made that wrong visible and actionable by bridging law and identity activism. Her work clearly fits intersectional feminism, multiracial feminism, radical feminism, because her critique challenges the foundations of institutional power, multiple jeopardy, since her cases emphasised stacked vulnerability and state neglect, and socialist feminism, because she talks about class, labour and identity oppression reinforcing each other. Their stories are similar because both women refuse to let institutions define marginalised identities through silence. Both used awareness building instead of only protest, proving activism doesn't look like one thing. Their stories differ because Mock's work reshapes culture and Crenshaw reshapes policy. Mock moves narratives emotionally through media, while Crenshaw moves narratives structurally through law. Their work changed how I see my world. Now, when I look at issues like gender inequality or identity erasure, I don't see single problems. I see systems interacting. Feminism has to include race, class, identity, and institutional accountability to mean anything. Activism can be legislation, memoir, media, protest, or community organising. But its core mission is always identity protection and oppression remediation. Their stories showed me that progress isn't just loud. Sometimes it's paperwork, archives, classrooms, and personal testimony working together to change who gets protected and who gets heard.